Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to some of y'all, and peace out to the rest of you. Hit the share button because the message is more important than the messenger. I've tried to record this message for the last 3 weeks now. Every time I tried to record it, I got interrupted. I start recording other messages, and I may or may not, but every time I tried to record this, I did. Phone calls and people calling my name in the background would just ruin everything. Now, I could record other messages, and I did, and I even uploaded them. This one, with no exception, resulted in interruptions. Since I've begun trying to record, and now there have been bits of news that have changed things. So this is also not only about why I appear to be a fence rider, but it's also about some turning points. Some information I'm going to go ahead and give you. As far as what nation I'm in, well, I told you I was down the road from the Saudi border. That's very true. But I'm actually on the Saudi side of the border. Now, 4 months from now, I probably will not disclose whatever my new location is going to be, whether it's going to be within the country or whether it's going to be another nation. But for the next 4 months, it doesn't make a difference. I found out that my company is not getting the contract renewed with the university at which I'm placed, and so therefore, there are 3 other universities here in the kingdom with which my company has a contract, and only one of them, in a town more backwards and Bedouin than this, has room for any new professors. So more than likely that's where they'll send me, or if they don't have that position, if they fill that up with other teachers, then they got to look at me and say, okay, well, here's your full settlement. You are free to look for other employment. And that full settlement should be a nice package because I've been doing this job over 5 years. I'll tell you guys straight away that, and in my next upload, I'm going to talk about how some people are just trash. I'm going to tell you what I've learned about some of the students and the Bedouin from which a lot of the students come. Bedouin being the name of the Bedouin culture. As you all know, I don't rock with that. I don't jive with that. I don't excuse that. Because if you look up at our book, chapter 9, verses 97, 98, and 99, but chapter 9, you will find that our Lord does not look favorably upon Bedouin, the practices of the Bedouins, except for maybe a third of them, a minority of them. We'll talk about that next time. This time, let me go ahead and explain why it is that I'm going to appear to be a fence rider. Some are going to say, you don't appear to be a fence rider, you actually are a fence rider, okay? In actuality, I may ride a fence accidentally. See, there are mainly 3 camps that are going to see me as a fence rider. One is the golden sphere. The second is the offshoot of mostly women who are not biracial, leaving the golden sphere. Because in between their grudge, I'm just not very involved. Most have actually forgotten about me on both sides, in the golden sphere and in that offshoot. Many have just simply forgotten about me because I'm not really involved in it. I don't have the time to listen to all of the live streams where they address everything. I'll listen to a few regarding other things. The third one is going to be those that are very pro-black, but they're so pro-black that they're one of the camps to which the golden sphere formed as a response. When I went live about the beef between Africans and ADOS and Caribbeans, I didn't look at the comments section for the last third of my live stream, so I didn't see what everybody wrote. I saw the comments later on when I was listening to the playback to check for any parts where the sound didn't work or to see if some sounds I tried to add came through. Yes, I will appear to be a fence rider on some things because of things I don't know, and also because of my penchant for avoiding extremes. You put these two together and this is what's going to result. Now, when I come across certain knowledge of something that justifies me being one-sided, those are the times you see me get one-sided. So when it comes to race and gender, I'm one-sided AF, and I'm going to be because that's the knowledge that has reached me. It's reached my own two eyes and my ears, and sometimes even reached my skin. I wanted to preach against two extremes with regard to this relationship between black folks of differing nationalities. The extreme of being too aggressive and the extreme of being too passive. Have a middle ground in between in which you are aggressive to the aggressors and you are lenient towards those that are kind to you. And I was shooting for that balance. I should have started off by saying that, but I thought that it was going to become clearer as time went on. The middle ground I wanted to promote was to be ready to clap back at those who depict their own people as foul, and to clap back at those who indiscriminately diss other black nationalities, assuming that an entire nation could possibly be the same. That's not possible. You see, the Fulani brethren I told you I met have suffered at times in other nations due to the antics of people from the same country with the same passport, but from a completely different region, a specific background, and a specific city. It's not fair to them. They had nothing to do with this. These guys don't even come from Lagos, where a lot of the scammers are. They're coming from Zamfara State, Katsina State, Kaduna State, Kano. And they caught it. One of them was in South Africa and witnessed and felt some of the xenophobia. Fortunately, he didn't have to deal with the violence of it because he was gone. So when I appear to be a fence rider, it's because somebody wrongly built a fence right in the middle of the road down which I'm trying to walk and call things. I won't always be right, but I'm required to at least try to be fair. So if I'm wrong about something, at least it's an honest mistake. If I say I'm Muslim and I show a bias for other than accuracy, you'd call me a hypocrite and you would be right. I would deserve it. This is the reason when it comes to the Golden Sphere, I don't honor some kind of right to deflect or defend white society when I got some fly fit to say about the Western European diaspora and its oppression upon the rest of the world. That's plain. When I get to talking shy flit about them, it's based on what everybody knows and what even they've written in their own history books about themselves and for which they have yet to pay. What the Arabs did to anybody, they did to somebody else too. And they paid. Oh, they've had to suffer for that. They didn't get away with it. Even this war right now going on in Eastern Europe is not something I celebrate because it's not the Western Europeans paying for what the hell they did. And if it was in Western Europe, it wouldn't necessarily mean that the ones outside of Western Europe who committed the oppression and the atrocities were paying for what they did. Hell, the ones that committed the worst acts are actually dead now. It looks to us like they got away with what they did, although I understand that in the graves, they're going to catch it. They are catching it and have been catching it since their funerals. I got my reasons that I hope Russia recolonizes the Ukraine, but I don't know how innocent Russia is of racial discrimination. I don't know how innocent the USSR is of racial discrimination even before that. I'm not a communist. I'm not a capitalist. I'm a Muslim. I'm not forgiving Russia for what they did to the Chechens, but that wasn't a racial bias. And you know, I used to teach history, but no history even specializes in every area of history. So anyone that knows something that the USSR or modern day Russia has done that is specifically racist as a government, feel free to tell me. School me. But without knowing it, I'm not going to sit up here and start bad-mouthing Russia. I'm going to badmouth them about what they did. Well, actually, it's already been done. They've been badmouthed about what they did to the Chechens. And now Chechens are signing up to join their army and go into the Ukraine. That's part of why I wasn't going to sit up and talk a whole lot about that. It's another topic. It'll go on for a long time. So I'm aware of biases, and I'm also aware of biases that other people have that are not racial but are political. And I see some of that in the golden sphere. I see some of that in the manosphere. Less of it there, but I see it. I don't find that most people in either sphere, really those who are content creators, don't really have a bias against black DNA, but they oftentimes have a bias against leftist politics associated with black Americanness. And ironically, I tend to have a bias against extreme liberalism or conservatism. But that's because of their extremities. I see that oftentimes extreme liberality is a stepping stone to selling out morally and doing things that black folks have prided themselves on not doing, and that the far right becomes a stepping stone to selling out if you're black. Clarence Thomas, anyone? I would have said the same thing about Thomas Sowell if he hadn't used historical text to explain that the dysfunction associated with urban black Americans, notice I say associated with, came in fact from white Southerners by the admission of northern white Americans themselves. And as for some idea that America doesn't owe black folks, and that's globally, I take issue with that political idea. And I take issue with black folks of any percentage of black blood siding with Trump or Biden, for that matter. You don't understand. Neither of them are going to allow something that's only going to benefit you. Whether you're 100% black, 200% black, or quadraracial. So I understand the difference between political and racial biases, and I don't want to confuse them. And that's another reason why I don't always necessarily comment on them. Now, I could go on a long and very hateful diatribe about Anon and LSM. You know why? I'm not going to go on that hateful diatribe, but I'm going to tell you that my stance against them, 100% correct. Based on the information that's reached me, I am 10 toes and 8 knuckles down against them. Because hindsight's 20/20. And now I know things I didn't realize before. We ain't cool. And I'm glad they had to shut their channel down. Now, I don't wish that his job had been threatened, his livelihood, but that's because of his wife and kids. I don't feel a guck about Anon no more. I was nice and cordial at first. You know, I don't care. He could be homeless tomorrow. I'd be like, oh, yeah, okay, well, he had that coming. Why? Ask Fran Brown about what he lied about. Don't take my word for it. And if you're too biased to ask Fran Brown about it, then that means you actually are biased. Because she had a link to show that he lied about something before she ever said he lied. I saw the link. And what he said happened was not in that link. That link was a compilation of incidents in which what he said happened should have been present, and they weren't. Unless they're classified information he had no business disclosing by law anyway. So what this means is that he clearly sided with the oppressor. See, on that channel, and I'm gonna be honest with you, looking back, I realized this, on that channel, you couldn't talk trash about white society, but you could talk bad about black America all day long. And some of that is spilled over into the golden sphere. But it exists today mostly in commentators in the chat sections and comments, not the content creators so much. However, they're still poisoning the pool. Now, I'm not going to blame the content creators for what people say in the chats and in comments. That's not fair to them. But Lashid and her camp also have the right to the opinion that they should call that out when they detect it in their chats. I'm going to tell y'all straight. I'm telling the Golden Sphere straight. I'm going to talk junk. I'm going to continue to. I'm actually going to talk more stuff about the Western European diaspora that oppressed the rest of the planet. And if you defend them, then I will assume that you're biased. Unless, of course, you're willing to defend Black Americans when we are derided. What I have seen so far, though, when it came to Anon and Ellison's channel, was very one-sided. So in any case, I'm stubborn about giving credit where it's due to anyone. And I'm slow to convict anyone. I have to give credit to MRM and GG for certain things. I got to give credit to Rashida Strober for certain things. I don't think either one of them could stand me as far as they could see me, especially MRM and GG, as far as they could throw me. And I'm fairly heavy, and I'm a medium weight for a guy my age and my height, so they couldn't throw me very far. I don't think Rashida remembers that I exist. But I can give them credit for one thing, and that is that they were quite civil towards each other. But the thing is that when you're quick to give credit and slow to convict anyone, however, you're still willing to convict anyone once the information and the evidence jumps out at you. But you're not able to keep up with every detail because nobody is. Anyone will appear to be a fence rider regarding some of these topics. And keep in mind, I don't live on YouTube. What was my last upload before this? And today I'm probably going to do 2, because I got 2 topics to cover. See, I'm going to leave you with this. I don't particularly like Hamza Yusuf. Now, I'm Muslim, but I don't particularly like that guy. I don't trust him. What I really fear from him is far worse than what I'm telling you now. But one of my second most watched video actually to this day is a video in which I went in on his punk behind in 2016. A few days before I left the city in which I was living and working and moved to here. I went in. He tried to pathologize the Black community. And this was 2016. This is after that summer of 2016. I was like, no. Like I said, 10 toes and 8 knuckles down. We're right, white, wrong. In America, I mean. Pretty much outside of Western Europe. It's that simple, historically speaking. That's what the wuck it's been. No, you don't pathologize us and excuse white America. Or Western Europe's diaspora anywhere else for that matter. What's next? You're going to say the Palestinians deserve what Israel is doing to them? And I went in on him. My first highest watched video was when I went in on Aisha Curry. First time, 2019. My second highest watched video was when I went in on Hamza Yusuf back in 2016. That video is not up no more. 2,500 views. I forgot if I put anything up that's got more views than that, I forgot. I say that because despite the fact that I don't like him, he said something that was wise. He said that if you are Muslim and you're going to walk that middle road, that middle path we're told to walk, then people that are extremely liberal and extremely conservative are going to both consider you to be the opposite of themselves. When that happens, you're probably on the right track. That made sense to me. Despite my distrust of him who said it, which he justified again later in 2016. However, less than half a year later, after that, I was in this town I'm in now, and two guys that were buddies, a Muslim from Oregon and a Muslim from the UK, rode the bus home from work. Then they got into debates and stuff, but one day they were getting into an argument, and they called me. Both of them did. Well, one called me, and then the other one said, "Wait a minute, don't call on Black. He's a Sufi like me. You Salafi." And the other one said, "No, he's Salafi like me." And I realized then that I probably did something wrong, and I said to both of them, "Listen, I haven't been in on these debates that you guys have been having, but in all honesty, I realized I probably did something wrong, because if each of you thinks that I'm you, then either you're giving me what you perceive as the benefit of a doubt that you have, or I screwed up by not stating my stances and why I disagreed with you all, but y'all never asked me. So please don't take my kindness or my civility as outright agreement with either one of your stances. I didn't pay attention to this debate that you guys got into, but if y'all want me to get into it, you're each going to have to restate your side again. And frankly, I'm probably going to say whatever's going to irritate both of you based on some advice that I heard previously. I had to check myself then, and I haven't been able to find why I intentionally or even irresponsibly misled either of them. These things had not come up in my conversations with them. And I didn't pay attention when they debated each other because I'd never been invited in on these debates before. But if there was a time I was wrong in being a fence rider, that was probably it, and that was not intentional. When it comes to the racial conflict, I'm 10 toes, 8 knuckles down on what I said before. Black folk ain't always been right about everything in life, period. I understand the historical nuances, even about calling ourselves black, considering ourselves to be one race. I get all of that. But when it comes to the racial conflict, we did not start that. And I'm not going to sit up here and point the finger at us and act like we were a bunch of savages terrorizing everybody else that was lighter than us. That's quite the opposite. When it comes to gender, I'm not going to sit up here and point the finger at black men and say you started this gender war. If the Wyatt men did, maybe, I don't know. I mean, I know what the history books say. Again, maybe they started it, maybe they didn't. It probably depends on which Wyatts you're talking about, because just like we're all diverse and we've never all been one united race, they really haven't ever all been one united race themselves, except when it comes to how to deal with darker skinned people. Darker in comparison to them. Now that's the closest you've ever come to finding them united, and even then they ain't all united. Abolitionist, anyone? But I'm not going to sit up here and point the finger and blame at those who could not have done it. Men, maybe, I don't know, depends on what part of the world. Black men, no, the F, we did not start a gender war. Absolutely not. How do I know? 30 years ago, when I was a teenager, I could not convince black boys or black men to simply raise their further-mucking standards, to simply stop tolerating the same shore bit that sisters kept telling us they were never going to tolerate. All that attitude they had. And we were tolerating that and never gave none of it back to them, except a few dudes that all the women wanted. So I'm 10 toes and 8 knuckles down on that, with a chest thump to go with it. Because I know, I witnessed with my own eyes and ears, black males did not start the gender war, period. We couldn't even do that which would provoke sisters to start the gender war. They started it because somebody came to them. And they listened. And they wanted that myth of white womanhood. How it started amongst the Wyatts, I don't particularly care. Until we need to know that to win it, and I'm talking we men need to know it in order to win the war, which we could win simply by evading any sort of harm being done to us. Even I'm not ready to tell men to do something that's going to harm women, rather than just not be harmed. that's why you find me very one-sided when it comes to these. I tell you I'm one-sided based on the information that's reached my eyes and ears. And sometimes, as I've stated before, even my skin. I never struck a woman intentionally. I bumped into women accidentally, yeah. But struck one intentionally? Nope. Last time I did that, I was in 3rd grade. She was in 3rd grade, and she was going around hitting boys for no reason. Actually, not for no reason. She was going around hitting boys because only the boys got in trouble for responding. Her name was Mandy, but I don't remember her last name. It was always that. She hit me, I struck her. The teacher called me up. Did you hit her? I said, yeah, to get her off me. You don't hit girls. She hit me, she jumped on me. You don't hit girls. Now, she was a good teacher, but she was one-sided when it came to that. Don't talk to me about being one-sided and unfair intentionally. She heard me, and she knew. She found out later that this girl was doing this to other boys because she could. She never came to any of the boys and said, my bad, sorry. Nope, never did. So, I find that men could not have. Absolutely. I remember even being told one time, don't change your shirt behind a partition or anything. Why not? You're not a lady. Only ladies can do that. I was like, there are girls sitting over there, they could see that. Then they think I'm trying to show off. So, oh God. This is the one-sidedness with which I've grown up. I've not started off one-sided just to be unfair. It's plain and simple. If a DNA test showed that I was mostly Wyatt, which I doubt, I'd still have to say this. Matter of fact, it would liberate me to say a hell of a lot more and a hell of a lot worse. Absolutely. So that's why I seem like a fence rider. Remember, times I seem like a fence rider, these are phenomena that are fairly recent, new, and about which I'm sure that there's information I don't yet know. When it comes to older phenomena that have a historical pattern, that's when you find me. No, I ain't no fence rider. No, I'm one-sided. This side's right, the other one's wrong. And even then, as a red pill aware man that's Muslim, I do not condone fornication even when red pill aware men are pulling it off. I just don't lecture them about it if they ain't Muslim. But even I will say the same thing Abu American said. If you red pill aware, but you Muslim, you do not justify fornication. I even tell the non-Muslim men, don't sit there and talk about pump and dump and championing pump and dump. Don't do that because that's going to set you up. You're going to make yourself a very convenient target sitting up here trying to promote pump and dump. What you think these ladies are going to allow something that convenient for a man? Have you not heard what they say? Have you not heard what they promote and what they champion to each other? No, you ain't pumping and dumping. Because otherwise, they will make you accidentally or unknowingly conceive before you leave, and then they're going to come back to you later on. Yeah, you were dead. You owe this much. Yeah, I know I said I just wanted this. I know I was making that easy, but come on. I can't make it that easy. I'm a lady. I gotta be a headache. And this is not how I view women. This is how the women view themselves when they say, come on, I got to be a headache. Their modus operandi, gentlemen, is they can't be too easy. Unless, of course, you're just, visually speaking, you're just so alpha and so Chad that you're that one in a million they can't pass up. And even then, if they can't get another man to pay the child support for a kid that's not his, then they're going to come back to you. So you're not going to simply get, you're not going to get a situation that's convenient for you. They find that embarrassing and shameful for a normal man to simply find a convenient sexual arrangement with a woman. Now, do anything to make sure that's not what happens. And I've known and seen this because I've been observing this. I've been observing this I haven't been observing this for 3 decades. I've been observing this for 3 decades and some change. I hope this helps. Thank you for listening. As always, black heart, black mind, blackout, assalamu alaikum, and black heterosexual, non-select male power because they don't like it, and black patriarchy until extinction or judgment day.